You pick up your phone right now, without thinking, and send a message across the world in less than a second. You've been taught this feels normal. But for almost all of human history, this was not just impossible. It was unimaginable. You've been taught the phone began with one man, one invention, one moment of genius in a lab. But the real answer is far stranger. Picture your life 200,000 years ago. You live in a small band of humans on an open plain. If you want to tell someone something, you have exactly one option. You have to be close enough for them to hear your voice. If your friend is on the other side of a valley, you cannot reach them. Not with your voice. Not with anything. So you learn to shout. You learn to whistle in specific patterns. In some places, you learn to beat a hollow log, sending a low sound rolling across the land, far further than any human voice could travel alone. This is not a phone, but it is the same problem the phone would eventually solve. How do you send a thought across distance faster than a person can walk it? For thousands of years, this problem barely moves. You light a fire on a hilltop, and someone on a distant hilltop sees the smoke and understands. Danger! Gather! Come quickly! A message carried by light and smoke, arriving in minutes instead of days. Anthropologists studying the history of long-distance communication have found smoke signals, drumbeats, and horn calls independently invented on nearly every continent. Different humans in different corners of the world, solving the exact same problem without ever meeting each other. The problem was never really about talking, it was about distance. Fast forward to a world you'd barely recognize. Empires now stretch across enormous territories. A message from the capital can take weeks to reach a distant province by horse and rider. Wars are fought based on information that is already old by the time it arrives. Distance is still winning. Then, in the 1800s, something changes everything. Wires, electricity, the telegraph. For the first time in human existence, a message can travel faster than any messenger, any horse, any ship. Tap out a pattern of electrical pulses at one end of a wire, and moments later, someone hundreds of miles away reads the exact same message. This should stop you for a second. After 200,000 years of shouting, drumming, and lighting fires, humans had finally separated a message from the body that carried it. But the telegraph could only send clicks, dots, and dashes. Not your voice, not the sound of someone you love. That gap is where the phone begins. In 1876, in a small workshop in Boston, an inventor named Alexander Graham Bell is trying to solve a completely different problem. He is not trying to invent the phone. He is trying to improve the telegraph, trying to send multiple messages down a single wire at once. While experimenting, Bell and his assistant discover something unexpected. A vibrating metal reed can convert sound waves into an electrical signal, and that electrical signal, sent down a wire, can be converted back into sound on the other end. For the first time in human history, a human voice, not a code, not a symbol, but an actual voice, travels down a wire and comes out the other side. Bell's own notebooks describe the first successful test, a short sentence spoken to his assistant in the next room, heard clearly through the device. You have to sit with what this means. For your entire evolutionary history, if you wanted someone to hear your voice, they had to be standing near you. Now, suddenly, they didn't. But early phones were nothing like the one in your pocket. They were bulky, expensive, connected by physical wires strung between buildings, and later, entire cities, in tangled webs overhead. You couldn't call just anyone. You had to go through an operator, a real person sitting at a switchboard, physically plugging your wire into someone else's wire to connect the call. For decades, this is what a phone call actually was. A person connecting two wires by hand. Historian Claude Fischer, who spent years studying how ordinary households adopted the telephone, found something surprising. Early phone companies expected people to use it mainly for business and emergencies. Instead, ordinary users, especially women running households, began using it simply to talk, to stay close to people they couldn't see. The phone wasn't just solving a distance problem anymore. It was becoming something else, a way of staying emotionally connected across a gap that used to be permanent. For the next 100 years, phones stayed mostly still, attached to walls, attached to desks, attached ultimately to a place not a person. If you weren't home, you simply couldn't be reached. This wasn't inconvenient, it was just how the world worked. Nobody expected anything different.